The title's a little provocative, but hear me out. I listen to music a lot, which doesn't mean that my taste is good, but that's a different topic. Instead, I'll be focusing on my inability to comprehend lyrics, which has been on my mind forever. Listening to music for me is like sitting in a restaurant. I'll hear scraps of conversation around me, but it blurs together most of the time, and by the time I come back out, I've forgotten just about everything that was said around me. I will hear a song, I might sing along to the chorus, maybe even the whole thing, but ask me after what it's about or to recite any of the lyrics, and I won't be able to do so in most cases. So for this video, I did some research and a deep dive into my brain, trying to find out why and what the science behind this is. Maybe. I looked on Google Scholar, on Reddit, on Quora, on other random forums and websites, and realized that many seem to have a similar issue. The explanations are often anecdotal though. I assumed this has to do with how our brains are wired, but that is literally the vaguest answer to anything and just not very satisfying, so I kept going. Little disclaimer here, I am not an expert in any of these fields. I'm just presenting the information I found to the best of my abilities. If I'm incorrect, please clarify down below and help me out. This is haunting me. Let's get into it though. You've probably heard of the learning style theory that Frederick Vester came up with a long time ago. He categorized into visual, auditive, haptic, and logical learners. Visual learners prefer using images and pictures and their spatial understanding. Auditive learners prefer using music and sound. Haptic learners prefer using their hands, their body, and their sense of touch. And logical learners are a bit more abstract, using systems, formulas, and logic. It's been criticized, of course, because in reality, there obviously aren't strict categories like that. There are only very few people that fit one mold perfectly. Most will be a combination of a few, maybe leaning towards one type more than the others. Ultimately, everybody kinda has to do it all. And if you prefer learning alone by writing things down, you'll still have to deal with learning in groups or practicing listening comprehension. However, I do believe knowing your preference is a good thing, if it fits this particular theory or not. Because even though it's classified as a theory about learning, which we tend to associate with school, I think it has to do more with how we perceive the world as a whole. Which brings me back to lyrics and music. Personally, I identify most with being a visual and logical learner. Out of all of these, auditive learning has always been my least preferred method. The biggest reason I see for that is my inner monologue that just never stops, which means I'm never bored and that's great, but also that without visual stimulation to pull me out of my head, I'm not going to leave it. For me, there is a difference between vocals in conversation and vocals in music. In conversation, they're literally what carries the whole thing, whereas in music, they become just another instrument. One I find vital in music, I love the sound of people's voices. For me, music truly lacks something without vocals, but their function in music is not to carry information, but to add texture to the song. There's another more sciencey theory though. This idea was researched at the Max Planck Institute in Germany. They conducted an experiment to find out if maybe lyrics and tune are processed in different parts of the brain, and the result kind of supported that theory. What they did was to play 12 participants, so you see this is a tiny study, don't take this as fact please. They played them 4 sets of 6 songs. In set 1, all songs had different melodies and different lyrics. Set 2 had songs with a different melody, but the lyrics were all the same. In set 3, the opposite was the case, and in set 4, melody and lyrics were identical across all songs. They did MRI scans while playing the songs to the participants and monitored which part of the brain responded when. They found that there are basically 2 phases. Initially, lyrics and tune are processed together. Then our brain starts processing lyrics separately, trying to find the meaning, which happens in a different area of the brain. This two-phase model of perception is relevant for far more than just music. This happens for pretty much anything, really. You notice people walking past you, somebody calling in the distance, the advert at a bus station, but most of these things won't reach phase 2 because your brain has classified them as irrelevant to you personally. Everybody has a certain threshold when impulses consciously start getting processed in the brain. That advert that's really controversial and makes you stop and think. A blood-curdling scream that makes you wonder what the fuck happened. Or that song that kind of hits you in all the right places. That threshold will vary for everybody. For example, mine is rather high, and to even notice music for me takes a lot. When a song does hit phase 2, the part of my brain that analyzes lyrics is kinda shit at it. Good to know. This has a lot to do with experience and practice though, which is where a lot of the comments from Reddit and other forums come in. An instrumentalist will probably have a better understanding of the instruments in a song. Drummers will listen to the drums, producers will listen to the overall production, and so on. A writer of any sort might be more aware of the lyrical content because expression through writing is their art form and the thing they're most aware of. Some people are really analytical when they listen to music and have fun picking a song apart into its different components, analyzing the physics behind it. Or you're like me. For most of us, it's probably one of those reasons, but I found something else I didn't want to leave unmentioned. Auditory processing disorder. People with this disorder have a hard time processing words. If those words are muffled in melody, it's even harder for them. This is not extremely common though, so I'd say don't worry, but if you do have problems keeping up with what people are saying, and not just because it's noisy or you're distracted, maybe look into it. Other reasons I've found are ADHD, anxiety, and other mental health issues, which makes sense when the brain is occupied with other things. Obviously, being hard of hearing can also be a reason for this, but as a non-expert in a YouTube video, I'd rather not get into this. There's much more qualified people, so don't listen to me. After accumulating all this information, I realized something else though. I was so focused on finding the scientific explanation that I ignored a simple fact. I just don't get anything from lyrics. And to be honest, I don't have that much faith in most songwriters. If we break it down, there's two main categories: happy songs and sad songs. In those, there are relationship or horny songs that I don't relate to, there's money and party songs, also don't relate, and there's a fraction of people singing about empowerment, politics, or other personal experiences. There are really great lyrics out there. I don't think they're all bad by any means, but they never resonate with me on a deeper level. I'm happy for songwriters to have found a way to express themselves in whatever way they want. But if I don't know somebody personally, I don't really care about their good or bad days. I want them to do well, of course. Genuinely, I want them to overcome whatever they're struggling with. And if music is their way to do it, that's great. And I know there's many people that can relate or gain insight from music. And for that reason alone, I'm all for it. Personally, though, I prefer experiencing joy myself. I can't vicariously do so through a stranger's lyrics. My joy is my joy. My pain is my pain. And it's personal. Too personal for me to want to listen to what strangers have to say about it. Something I almost forgot to mention as well is that oftentimes, or sometimes depending on who or what you listen to, artists will make the decision for the listener if the lyrics should be understood or not, either by the way they sing. Sometimes vocals are distorted in production, or they are literally nonsense. Not all vocalists see their main form of expression in lyrics. They don't all see themselves as writers, which is fine. Basically, I just wanted to clarify that I don't want to reduce the vocalist or the musician to their writing, because sometimes it doesn't even matter to them, or they don't feel like it has to be the focus of a song. In conclusion, this is just how some brains work. There's also a lot of predictable songs with weak lyrical content that some people's brains don't even deem worthy of further analysis. So, should we feel bad for not listening and missing out on the full experience? Not really. There's other forms of art out there that might click better with your brain, or maybe now is not the time. You keep learning, your brain keeps developing, and maybe in a few years you'll listen to a song and suddenly get it. But this video is not meant to be deep. I just finally wanted inner peace for this issue. If you are lyrically inept or ignorant or whatever you want to call it, I hope you now understand why, and maybe it helps you feel better about yourself. I have a question for you. If you are one of those people that lyrics mean a lot to, does that keep you from listening to music in languages that you don't understand? Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe and goodbye.